Cheers, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Yesterday, we had a pretty good live Q&A that brought me to a topic that I wanted to just lead with today. And it is about being interested. Like, there are a lot of people who are thinking about serving, which I greatly appreciate, even the consideration of serving our country or community in the police and fire, military. However, some people are just interested in the job. And you have to realize that you need to be interested in hard work for this job because these jobs are tough. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's special ops or it's conventional military. It's going to be tough physically, mentally, emotionally. You're going to be missing families, when you travel. So there's a lot to juggle in that. And like I said, I want you to differentiate what it means to be interested in something versus interested in working hard to being an exceptional candidate in something. Two different sides of the same spectrum. Um, but there is a difference. And I think we discuss that difference quite often on this show is that you really do need to put in the time to prepare before you even talk to a recruiter, especially if you're considering the special ops profession, because they're just harder. And you know, especially in the military or the Navy or the Air Force, where there's not anything that really prepares you for their special operations pipelines, you have to do this yourself. You have to come in an above average candidate, or you're not going to get accepted into these programs. There's nothing in that pre Spec Ops pipeline that will prepare you. Boot camp won't do it. Your extra school, specialty code school, or a school in the Navy won't do it. There's nothing in there that will do that. So it is a little bit different in the Army and the Marine Corps, where they join and they go through, pretty challenging boot camps that are definitely advanced level compared to Navy and Air Force, let's be honest. And then they go into infantry training or something additionally challenging that's conventional, completely conventional, a lot of tough physical activity that occurs there. Then there's a progression where, okay, you want to go into the special ops programs where you can go to airborne, you can go to air assault, you can do all these other schools, sapper schools, which are very tough, pathfinders, very tough schools. And then you can try out for spec ops a couple years later, but you've had a couple of years to build yourself up to that spec ops level. That's why a lot of times the Army and the Marine Corps' attrition rates are lower than the Air Force and the Navy's, is they actually have a logical progression in a couple of years to get people ready for those jobs. There's just nothing in the Navy and the Air Force that's remotely similar to that. So you have to do this on your own prior to joining. And a lot of times that can be your athletic history, where you played a couple of sports and you've got a lot of strengths coming into the thing, but you may also have some weaknesses that correspond with those strengths, just the opposite. So, strength trainers, your strength guys tend to be bad on the endurance. Endurance guys tend to be bad on the strength. Everybody, if you're a land athlete, tends to be bad in the swimming pool. Guys in the pool tend to be bad on land. It doesn't matter. We all have strengths and weaknesses that we have to be honest with ourselves and develop. If you're not doing that, you are not going to be accepted into these programs. You are not going to be an asset in the way that you want to be in these programs. And you're probably going to spend at least 3 years of your 4-year commitment doing a job that you are not interested in. So that is how the interested spectrum works. So I think I'll write an article on this one because I've done a post on it up on my Instagram, which talks a little bit about it, but I think there's a lot to dig into for that. So my dog just fell. All right, let's see. Take some questions and then we'll show some CSS videos. I do have a few to show you guys today. In fact, I've forgotten to download them, but I got a couple already set up. How do you set yourself apart within your military job? Not necessarily Spec Ops, just do the best you can with everything you do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and do the things that nobody wants to do. I mean, nobody wants to clean an area, make it look good, but have some pride in where you work and keep it clean. Nobody wants to do the jobs that everybody hates, and you'll find out what those are real quick, either because they're hard or they're mundane, but somebody has to do them. Helping people who are struggling in various um, training activities, tactical skills, physical abilities, whatever you can do to help somebody is huge on, you know, setting yourself apart as a really good team player, someone who cares about people, someone who cares about the mission. That's how you set yourself apart. But that doesn't have to be anything in the military. That can be in the fire service, that can be the police department, that can be in any job. Absolutely. And are you reliable? Do you show up on time? Do you stay late when you need to stay late? Do you get things done by deadlines? All of those things apply not just to military life, but everyday life. Where I noticed a big difference whenever I first got out was, when I told somebody I was going to be somewhere, I was there and I was on time, if not early. And when I first got out, I really missed the people that I could rely on in the same way. I would have new friends, new neighbors that were civilian, and they never show up, they weren't there, whether it was a workout or a social event, didn't matter. No information on like why they're going to be late, they just didn't show up. So that's not cool. You don't want to be that guy. Great question though. How did you juggle family and job commitments while you were in? Well, first of all, I didn't have a family when I first got in. I did not get married until I was a lieutenant. So 4 years in, almost 5 years in, I got married. Now, we had been dating since I was at the Naval Academy. We had dated for over 4 years. So she knew what she was getting into. I knew what she was getting into. I think we both needed that understanding before we pulled that trigger to make it happen. I didn't want to just get married and then say, "Hey, here's the Navy. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if it's going to suck or not." Um, but she understood what was going on, and it worked out. Um, and then we started having kids like 3 or 4 years later, and then I got out after that. So I didn't really have to juggle family stuff that much. I was in from age 22 to 29, almost 30. Um, that's post buds, um, buds and post buds. So I put off really having a family until I was out. Be honest with you. So, but I still had a family. My parents, my sister, cousins, and aunts and uncles, and I didn't get to see them as much. So, um, how do you set yourself apart in your military job? Did we just answer this question? Yes. Okay, Tyler, you asked it twice, it looks like. That's all right. Possibly a dumb question, but how much of direct correlation is there between years spent preparing and success at bud selection? How many years do most dedicated guys you have spend prepping? Great question. I will tell you this, the guys I see at the Naval Academy, they have no excuses to not making it through buds because they literally have 4 years to prepare with active duty SEALs there, programs where, just everybody's under a log, under a boat. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to be put under a log and under a boat. So you're getting tastes of SEAL training events. You're going to be swimming, you're going to be treading, you're doing all these different things regardless of what you select. So that's kind of like a base training. And then, your next year and the year after, you start selecting and preparing for the Bud screener. So you got a couple of years just to crush a PST. And then the Bud screener is a weekend long event where they actually fly out first phase buds instructors to the Naval Academy, and they put you through pretty much the worst 36, 40 hours of your life at that point, which are basically all the really crappy events of Hell Week all rolled into a weekend. And that usually drops the numbers from, let's say, 150 people wanting to go to buds in this class to maybe 70, right? Maybe 60. And then those guys go to SOAS for 2 weeks, where they'll go to buds for 2 weeks and see if they can handle buds again for another week. A lot of interviews, a lot of leadership challenges, a lot of public speaking, all that. Everything is getting psychological tests. Everything's getting tested. And then they find out how they're doing it. So that is why when you see like success rates of a Naval Academy being 95, 100% some classes, that's because they've had years to prepare for that job. Now, if you don't have the Naval Academy available, there are still you still have the ability to prepare in a similar way, whether that is crushing a PST 2 years out before you join. And then you're focusing those next 2 years on all your weaknesses to get through the training, whether that is durability, strength to handle load bearing, could be more endurance stuff to handle 4 mile timed runs and swimming with fins for 2 miles. All of those little things that you're going to get tested on constantly, you can be preparing for years in advance. Now, if you play a sport, high school, college, that's great. You might have some elements of fitness that you don't need to work on because they're already great, because of your athletic abilities. But I guarantee you there's some weaknesses that go with that. So, um, and that's where it becomes almost like a fitness budget. However much time you have to train, you have to budget time, resources, energy towards focusing on your weaknesses so you can actually improve your weaknesses to less of a weakness, because your weaknesses will be exposed on day one of any Spec Ops training, I promise you, and understand what it means to have a gut check, bring your A game. By that time, you've kind of figured out your why you want to do this. You're not just interested in it. This is something you want to do so bad you can taste it. Um, that's where extra years come in. I know that was a very good question. I thought it needed some extra answer there. Um, but you know what? How many years do most dedicated guys have to spend during prep? if you think about it, their whole life. You know, I was swimming when I was 8 years old, right? Not a lot, not on a swim team, but I was swimming. I was running around. I was playing two sports, and then I played three sports in high school. So all of those things had some developmental process in who I am and who I was going to be because I learned a good work ethic during those years. And I learned what it meant to quit and not to quit. Um, so you got to have some of that history too. And that takes a lifetime. But if you're looking at just focusing, I have seen guys graduate college, they played a sport in college, um, and they focused solely on that sport. However, on the off season, they focused on swimming. So, like a lacrosse player focused on swimming. He was already strong. He was fast, good runner. He just needed to focus on swimming. He came to us 3 months later. He was gone, made it through buds. But that was a lifetime of playing lacrosse and probably 2 years of off season training to get better at swimming. So think about it that way too. Once again, great question. Do you have any tips for a runner starting to train in the pool? I'm decent runner with a 5:30 mile and can run 15 miles at 7-minute pace regularly. That's really good. You don't need to be able to run that far if you're working towards SEAL training. But there is a big difference in running shape and swimming shape. So my advice to you is one, learn the technique that is going to help you um, get a 50-second 50 efficiently, not a sprint. And then once you do that, there's this workout that I love so much. I made it an article. It's in most of my workout books. There's others too, but it's called the 50-50. And it's 50-meter freestyle followed by 50-meter CSS. You do that 10 times. You warm up or cool down with a 500 nonstop. I promise you 1,500 yards of swimming every day for 5, 6 days a week. Um, you will get in shape for swimming. Next thing you know, you're going from a 10-minute swim to a sub-8 swim. And it happens more often than I can count. So that's how it does it. Do I keep in touch with Fire Rose? No, I do not. I don't know who Fire Rose is. I just know she asked the same question over and over again about women in Spec Ops. I hope she's gotten her answer because I know she's asked me 50 times. So I think she's a bot, but I don't know. Who do I know? If you don't mind me asking another question, how challenging Buds is at the moment? Do you think having a full-time job, other commitments is a distraction from training? No, I do not. Now, it also depends on your full-time job. Are you sitting on your butt behind a computer all day? Probably not the best opportunity to continue training. Being on your feet all day and then working out before work, working out during lunch, working out after work, you know, one, two of those a day, that can be plenty. Because I mean, I think when I was a student, I would wake up in the morning before school, go to school. At the academy, you went to school all morning, eat lunch, and then you go to school for a little bit in the afternoon. Then I had rugby practice, and then I swam after rugby practice. Then I studied all night. So you can make work fit into your training schedule. It's hard, but it will prepare you, I think, more so than working out in the morning, taking a 2-hour nap, working out during lunch, take another nap, working out again. I mean, I think the grind is what gets most people. And if you're grinding it out every day, um, I think that's going to be more beneficial to you than workout and taking a bunch of naps. Because guess what? There's no nap time at Buds. Weekends you get off. That's nice. But no, I say keep your schedule busy and fit fitness in as best you can. Hey, let's take a little break for a minute, and we'll go to a CSS video. I have a couple I need to download during this presentation, but let's see how these look real quick. Got a couple here. I know I downloaded 3 or 4 yesterday. All right, so let's do, that was last week. I think we got a fin and we have a non-fin. So let's see what this looks like for you. All right, window, where are you, window? Entire screen. All right, so you guys aren't seeing that yet, are you? I guess I just canceled my share screen. That's all right. So let's see how this looks. All right, pop it up here. Okay, so little stiff off the kickoff. Like I can take a look right here and say this guy works out hard, but look at the streamline is a little off. Like if you can straighten your elbows, not that this is like a huge difference, but it's one of those little things that adds up with your speed and glide time. Um, I would recommend definitely trying to lock those biceps on your ears. He's got a good pair of shorts on that won't be any drag. A lot of guys wear these big board shorts. These are good ones. These will keep you fast. Decent double arm pull, recovers up, nice streamline. A little bit too long on that glide position there, making that transition into the stroke. Let's see. So we got top arm, bottom arm, kick, one Mississippi, yeah, I can't even say two Mississippi. So probably needs to just hold the glide just a little longer. One Mississippi, two. Yeah, one Mississippi, two. Let's see if I'm correct on this. I try to get people out to like three Mississippis. Good news is there's not a whole lot he's doing wrong here, if anything. Top arm, bottom arm, one Mississippi, two Mississippi, pull. You can see, I think he pulls probably a second too soon. And what I need to see, the reason why I like to see if you can glide for 3 seconds, because that tells me a lot about one, your streamline, but two, is your kick powerful enough for you to glide at a yard per second um, during the glide after the kick. So definitely something that can be worked on. Just holding that glide out a little longer. Let me see if I have another video. I think I do. Hopefully this won't screw up this video. I got to download a video while I'm doing this, so we'll see. All right, let's take a question. See, adding context to my above question, I'm able to get across a pool in 25 seconds, but I can't seem to go further than 100 yards at any reasonable speed. Yeah, that's just swimming shape. In fact, I have a great article for you. You're going to love it. It's called, Dude, You're Not in Swimming Shape. And you'll see multiple types of comments in this article. And that's my answer. Dude, you're not in swimming shape. You might be in great running shape, but you're not in swimming shape. That's all that is. That 50-50 will do the trick, I promise you. You just got to swim it multiple times a week. I would suggest at least 4, if not 5, sometimes 6. But yeah, check out that article. It's a fun one. Kind of make fun of you a little bit, but it's okay. You'll get it. And tied to the above, what programs yours would you say prepare guys as well as the Naval Academy? Jake mentioned the RDAC several times in his videos. Yeah, I know the RDAC guys. Some of my guys go up there. Um, and I would say that the RDAC is good for um, not necessarily coaching, but it's great for uh, getting tested because you are going to be treated like a bud student the whole time. My groups here and my groups at the academy, I don't treat them like I'm a SEAL instructor. I treat them like a coach. And that is my way of doing things. It's not the way of doing things. I'm not knocking anybody's way of doing things. Just saying, if you're at the Naval Academy, you don't need to go to RDAC because the RDAC is, I would say, um, a good uh, replica of some of the things they're doing at the Naval Academy. So check it out. It's up in New York or Connecticut. I think maybe Stanford, run by Captain Bissett. He's been doing this for a long time, and he runs a great program. So got nothing but good things to say about those guys. Hey Stu, just wanted to say thank you for getting this old gunny back on track. Your tactical fitness over 40 has been instrumental achieving my fitness goals. Thank you, Timmy, and thanks for serving. I will tell you, after serving, up through gunny and beyond, uh, these are no joke workouts. They really are helpful. This will, if you're broken, this will help rebuild you. If you're pretty solid, this is a pretty challenging introduction to seasonal tactical fitness periodization where it's a 16-week program and every 4 weeks is a season. So it's kind of an intro to it, but it's on a 40 plus year level, which I tell you that there's still workouts anybody could do. They're not necessarily easier. The only thing is in those workouts, there's some new rules that I follow where I don't necessarily run every day, do some non-impact on the days in between. We do a mobility day once, sometimes twice a week. That has been life-changing for so many 40 and over people still wanting to get after it. It has made the big difference. Now I use that mobility day for my young guys because they lack some mobility, and that's preventing them the ability to tread water properly and swim with fins. So I've sold it to them as a method to get better at treading versus taking an easy day. But it's not an easy day. I mean, it takes an hour and a half to do my mobility day. You're biking and stretching and foam rolling, and then you go swimming and treading and drown proofing. So it's more of a skills technique day and mixed with some mobility to help those skills improve. So yeah, thanks, Gunny. I appreciate your comment there. Keep getting after it. I'm probably going to have a 55 over coming soon. That's what I'm working on this year. It's probably going to take me at least 6 months to develop the program and test it out with some other guys that are 55 and over. But yeah, that's my next project. Let's see. Do you feel like you have perfected your programming with your new seasonal tactical fitness periodization season? Good series. Good question. I can't say I'm ever feeling like I've perfected anything. I am on a constant quest to find perfection, but to say I've made it perfect, I don't think I could say that with good conscience. For me, it's perfect. It is a system that works really well for me. I've been doing it since I was 30. And when I got out of the military, I started this. So it's been 23 years now doing this. And it has been a great system that not only I do, but it's the way I teach. So for me, it's perfect. But I also say I have a way to train, not the only way to train. Um, it is one of many ways to do this. And I appreciate the question. And I hope that answers it. All right, let's see. What pace should your warm up mile be? Great question. I usually do a warm up mile a little slower, but I will tell you if for some reason I'm feeling pretty good, because we usually do like this little half pyramid warm up. So, like today on leg day, we did a 1 to 10 squat pyramid with probably 50-meter jog, dynamic stretches in the middle. One squat, jog 50 meters, two squat, three squat, four squat, mixed swim with a variety of dynamic stretches. But by the time we do 10, that's 55 squats. It's a good warm up. Your legs are feeling better than they did before you started. And then I usually start running. And then usually the first half doesn't go well for me. It takes me at least a mile to warm up anyway. But there are some days where I'm feeling pretty good and I will run that half mile kind of easy, turn around, come back, and try to negative split it. Whatever it was. Might have been a 9-minute mile pace going down, and it's going to be sub 8 coming back. Something like that. But it really kind of depends on how you're feeling. This morning, I still felt leg day a little bit, nothing crazy from Saturday. We did leg day today. Just felt some remnants of it. So I ran that mile in about 9 minutes. That was slow. But some of my younger guys who had already recovered from that leg day Saturday, they were running between 6 and 7. So they were pushing it. So it really depends. Depends on how you're feeling. My wife got a treadmill at the end of the day when she was tired after she said, as Stu says, got another scoop of mental toughness. I love it. That is true, man. When you work out and you don't feel like it, that is another scoop of mental toughness. You just worked out. You just basically took any motivation and made it discipline. So good job. I like to hear those stories because that's how it works. Because you're not going to feel motivated every day. You're not going to feel energetic every day. This morning I woke up feeling leg day and I knew it was leg day. Not 100% happy about waking up. And it was the first freezing day of the new year. First day under 30 degrees. Kind of sucked. Not horrible, but just made it different. Some of the mornings have been 50, 60 degrees, and today was 30. So just another scoop of mental toughness. I get it. All right. So let me move on to another video. I got a video downloaded here. Let me see here. Let me pull it up. All right, so this one is with fins. Let's see how this one looks. You guys can see this. I don't know why it keeps flicking off of that. All right, so we got a good kick off the wall. Oh, see, something I like there is when you kick off that wall and you're in a pool and you got a time swim, kick off that wall, throw a couple dolphin kicks in there. That makes a big difference. When you're in open water, it won't matter. You can throw dolphin kicks if you want, but just for speed in a pool, kick off the wall, go right into a couple dolphin kicks, get your momentum going, and then start constant flutter kicks. And if you notice, that's all he's doing here. This is really good. He's doing a length in like 22 seconds. So it's probably going to get, somewhere in the, minute 30 range on a 100, which if you stretch that out, that's going to be a 730 500. It's going to be a 15-minute 1,000, roughly. Might slow down a little bit. Multiply that out by 4. That's going to be a 60-minute 4,000, which is a really good score and given he's swimming straight in the open water, anywhere between 60 and 70 minutes on a 4 mile, 4,000 yard time swim with fins is really good. Yes, you do have to swim straight. You got to fight some currents. So there's going to be some give or take there on your pace. But if you can do it in a pool, it's probably going to be pretty close to that in the open water, um, depending on your, on the sea state and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Zach says, good morning, gents. 31, currently in NSW UAS training. All right. I was looking to take a reservist affiliation with SEAL Team 18. Finish my degree, apply for SEAL officer active. Any suggestions? Yes, everything that you just said there can be done. So I think that's a great way to do it. If you can, any reserve job though. I mean, it doesn't have to be at SEAL Team 18. I know they do take non-SEALs there to be, subject matter experts in certain ratings. So give it a shot if you can. If you can't, just do a regular reserve job, finish up your college, and then apply for the SEAL officer program, which, by the way, there's a time deadline in there too, where a lot of people screw up. I've had people like contact me in December, say, "Hey, I think I'm going to try out for the SEAL officer job." And I said, "Okay, deadline is February. You got to have every bit of your paperwork in by February." And some people are on the ball and are doing an expedited methodology to get that done. Some people say, "Ooh, yeah, I don't know if I can get all that done in time with medical and letters of recommendation and getting PST ready and taking a PST, submitting all that." So every year, the way it's set up is you just have to be submitted by February, and it usually takes from November to February to get all that in on average. Um, so just be aware of that whenever you do talk to an officer recruiter. They need to know those deadlines so they submit everything for you on time. Because I've seen that too. Some people, officer didn't know it was a February deadline and didn't submit it in time, and he had to wait another year to go. So that sucks. So make sure your officer recruiter also has done this before. That's a big plus if you had some experience with the Spec War officer OCS pipeline. Yep. But if you got more questions, just email me, Stu at Stu Smith. We can go into your personal details, make it a little more specific answer for you. I purchased one of your ebooks before, would like to send you a CSS of mine. How do I go about doing that? Well, you can email me, stu at stewsmith.com. You can go to my Instagram, which is stewsmith50, and DM me if you'd like. But if you're going to make a 50-meter video, just you going down and back, or if you're at a long pool, you can go all the way across 50 meters, 50 yards. Just make sure whoever's taking that video is walking with you, right over you, um, because otherwise I can't see you, but maybe for a stroke or two, and then you're gone, and then you come back, and that's kind of a waste of everybody's time. I want to ask you this question. If you cannot see yourself swim, so can you see yourself swim in this video? Then you can send it to me if you can. So there you go. Don't send me something that you can't see yourself swimming, because chances are I can't either. Thanks for your advice, dude. Just got back from the pool, actually. I promise I'll be in swimming shape by the next time I talk to you. Okay, sounds good. That's awesome. It doesn't take long, Jake, especially if you already got a good cardio base. It's the people that don't necessarily have a running base like yours that that tend to take a little longer with swimming, but it'll transfer over. You just got to put in 4 or 5 days a week. And I promise you, 3 weeks from now, I bet you by February, you'll notice a huge difference. Do you ever consider filming like a week of your workouts with the guys in the mornings? Would be fun to see what tempo your guy. I've thought about it. Thought about figuring how that works. Um, they push each other pretty hard. The cool thing about our group is it's a fun little competition every single day in something, whether it's weighted pull-ups or it's push-ups, bench press, running, especially swimming. So that I think that's what drives us all to work a little harder. I know I work harder when there are people there in front of me, especially running, and I don't feel like being last, which I usually am with these young guys. But sometimes I'll beat the younger guys, and then I don't let them ever forget it. Um, because if you're behind me, you're wrong. You need a lot of work. Been doing treading with the egg beater a lot. Seems to be helping my shin splints. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that definitely. You know what helps your shin splints? Ankle mobility. So by practicing treading and some of those ankle stretches that treading requires, you're going to work your shin splints. Ankle mobility is very important for not getting shin splints. Hopefully, I'm not treading wrong, but seems nice burn on the shins with low resistance. Yeah, I mean it depends. If you're swimming with fins and treading, or you're swimming, um, egg beater type, it's gonna have that ankle mobility stretching of the shin phenomena that comes with that activity. So yeah, I think it's very beneficial for you. So keep it up. What's a major difference in how you program the seasonal programs compared to when you started? Um, it's a little different, but there's a lot more similarities to it than there are differences. The differences may be a few different choice exercises. My very first winter lift program was more of a bodybuilding hypertrophy program versus a real strength and power program. I think I've evolved into doing more of those, or doing a hybrid version of both. Like this upcoming winter, we are doing kind of a mix where the first 4 weeks are focus on higher reps, hypertrophy level. And then the next 4 weeks will be focus on medium reps, like 8 to 10 reps. And then the last 4 reps will be 5 and under. So we're going to be lifting a little heavier on those last 4 weeks. So it's a good mix of all of them, not too focused on one. Where I think my first time I did it, it was a pure 13-week program on bodybuilding and almost no running. I wasn't really doing a whole lot of run. I think I ran like 5 or 6 miles a week. Now, just for maintenance purposes of PST stuff, we've been probably running 15 miles a week back then. So yeah, the major difference is I didn't call it seasonal tactical fitness periodization. I just called it maximum fitness periodization, and used a seasonal approach to it with 4 13-week cycles. But I was doing winter lifts and hard spring calisthenics and cardio summers. So it was very similar. Do SEALs march through tear gas? Yes. I'm sure you maybe have seen the video. It's out there. And everybody was up in arms about the tear gas, which any military branch does tear gas stuff. So it's not that big a deal. If shins are fine whenever you're warmed up, but hurt at first, is it fine to keep the regular miles, or should I decrease anyways? Does it lead to worse over time? Well, typically what's going to happen is as you warm up, your ankles, knees, shins are going, the muscles are going to be a little more pliable, and those tendons are going to be a little more pliable. So, um, it's okay. Um, but it really depends. I wouldn't necessarily go crazy with the mileage. Um, and if at any time it hurts, maybe pull back and do more um, non-impact stuff if needed. But just be ready. Test it out, see if it feels okay. If it goes away, that's fine. You may feel some pain after. That's when you should be foam rolling, massaging, um, little things like that after the workouts. Especially if it hurts to walk. I have a little rule when it comes to running. If it hurts to walk, don't run. If it hurts to run, quit running. And if it hurts doing nothing, like me just sitting here in front of a computer, if something on me hurt, go see a doctor. That's kind of my rule on running. Morning, Stu, on a treadmill. Pleasure to watch you while I get after it. Hey, good job, man. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Couple more questions, and then I gotta cut it short. Have you ever had problems with needing the toilet while running? Absolutely. Is there an eating schedule that might make it easier? Um, no, I don't know. Um, Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think it's hit or miss. It depends on what you're eating, how much you're eating, how much fiber you're eating, how much water you're drinking. Um, so I don't really have a good answer on that. I usually just stop and use the bathroom. Or, if it's something like it buds, and you can't stop because it's a 4 mile timed run. If you stop, you fail. You know what you got to do. They didn't call me shitty for nothing. So, no, I crap my pants twice, I think, at buds. So, but you're always wet and sandy. You can go in the water, clean it out. Not that big a deal. It happens. It's not fun, but it happens. How do you swim CSS in a 50-meter pool without being gassed? Getting better swim shape. So no different than a 25-meter pool. Just got to get in better shape. Is it true that one seal alone can go against five enemies? I've never heard of that one. What book do you recommend to ace the PST as a civilian? Um, I would go with Calisthenics and Cardio. I have found this one to be really good answer to the calisthenics and cardio events that are the PST. It has running in it, also has biking in it if running's too much, but also some swim workouts in the more advanced section. There's some swim options, but if you can't swim, there's bike options. So I would go with that 100%. Let's see. Do you still program the operator grip circuit, the one with the rice bucket for your guys? I need to do that more often. We do some grip stuff, but I haven't brought the rice bucket out in a while. Um, I still got my rice bucket sitting in my garage, so I'm you know what? I'm going to do that tomorrow. 100%. All right. So let's see. All right, folks. So I got one more question and then I got to go. Um, Currently 240 running 24-minute 3 mile. Not bad. 8-minute miles at 240. Pretty good. Former power lifter, college football player. Start swimming next week. Graduate college in a year. Looking to be a SEAL officer. Is a year enough to prep? Yeah, I think so. I mean, you definitely have the strength down. Um, I would be honest with you, I wouldn't even touch a weight for a year and just get good at running, swimming, and calisthenics. I I did not have the college football ability. I came in as a high school football player and power lifter, um, and had a lot of the same problems where I was strong enough, I was fast enough in 100 meters or less. I just needed to get in better cardio shape, and that was a that was a big challenge that took about a year to make that transition. So you got plenty of time. My suggestion is cows and cardio for the year, but do it progressively. You don't want to run too much, especially at 240. You know, if you could run every other day and do some non-impact cardio. Um, in fact, what I would do is basically get on a triathlon schedule, and two-thirds of your cardio time will be non-impact cardio. So you'll bike and swim for a majority of your cardio, but then a third of it can be running. And that way you can slowly build up your running mileage and volume while you lose some weight from the extra cardio and not eating like a football player. Um, and you know, the swimming's going to be able to help you with that as well. So that's where I would go. All right, folks. So unfortunately, I got some company coming over right now. My dogs are going to let me know they're here. I had to cut this short. I will show some more videos a little bit later next week than I did this week. But thanks for the questions. If I missed your questions, just send me the questions by email, and I will uh, answer those as quickly as possible. Um, yeah, sorry I missed these. There are some good questions here that I will address next week. So until then,